Thank you so much for joining us today, this Giving Tuesday around the globe. My name is Leah Giles, and I'm Director of Development at IMS. I'm here on our campus in Barre, Massachusetts, on unceded Nipmuc land. Thank you again for joining us today. If you're like me, your inbox has been flooded already with requests from worthy organizations doing great work to reduce suffering all over the world. It can feel overwhelming, so we wanted to take a moment to gather in community, to sit together and to reflect on the pure joy of generosity, and to thank you for your many gifts, which enable IMS to be and to serve, which allow us to be here together today. We are thrilled to have IMS teacher Roxanne Dault with us to offer a meditation and talk about this interplay of dana, kalyana, mitta, and mudita, generosity, spiritual friendship, and joy and the happiness of others. Roxanne is a guiding teacher at True North Insight in Canada and a graduate of IMS's teacher training program. Welcome, Roxanne. Thank you so much for being with us today. And over to you.
Thank you. Bonjour. Hi, Kwe. I'm very happy to be with all of you today on this special day, a day that we get to actually reflect and take a moment and look at our own heart, our generous heart. So today, IMS wanted to offer this opportunity to be together, to gather together, and to maybe take a pause, take a breath, and connect with this body. So this day, as Leo was just sharing, is this invitation to maybe imagine or maybe to look forward to a world where generosity is the first thing in our mind, where we connect with one another, where we really understand our interconnection and the power of community. So we'll share a bit together, and we'll start with just by sharing the space, sharing this practice that I'm sure for many of us sitting at home moved our heart, changed maybe the way that we relate to the world, and had a big impact on our world. So before we start, I just want to bring in the wise word of an author and a writer, someone who's been very inspiring to me. His name is Richard Wagamez, and he's from the Wabaseemoong First Nation. And he talks about this sense of community. So I'll share those words, and then we'll sit together for about maybe about 15 minutes, and then we'll share a few words around this practice and the joy of generosity, of spiritual friendship, and the joy and joy of others. So I invite you to all to find a comfortable posture that might look differently for all of you. Some of you might be sitting in your sofa, maybe lying down in bed, sitting in a chair, or even standing up to see what feels right for your body right now, so you can land right now in this moment. And if it feels right, you can close the eyes and with inviting a sense of looking inward. You can just let the eyes, a soft gaze in front of you, rest. All that we are is story. From the moment we are born to the time we continue on our journey. We are involved in the creation of the story of our time here. It is what we arrive with. It is all we leave behind. We're not the things we accumulate. We're not the things we deem important. We are story, all of us. What comes to matter then is the creation of the best possible story We can while we're here. You, me, us together. And when we can do that and we can take the time to share those stories with each other, we get bigger inside. We see each other. We recognize our kinship. We change the world one story at a time. Just allowing those words to settle in your body. What's the story alive in you right now in this moment? We can start by just recognizing the connection with the earth, feeling the support of the earth, knowing in this moment our shared nature. And just in this moment, can we invite a sense of simplicity and meeting maybe the warmth of our feet, meeting the freshness of the air, and as our intention is established in this body right now, inviting a sense of ease, of relaxation. Allowing the hips, the thighs to relax. Allowing the belly to soften. Honoring the beauty of our spine, holding our posture, and inviting the shoulders to relax even more to the earth. Allowing the hands to rest where they feel comfortable. Noticing the breadth of the front body. And inviting a sense of ease in the jaw, the mouth, the face. Maybe allowing the eyes to relax a bit more, the eyebrows, the forehead. And just like this, the full body sitting together. Might invite a fuller breath just to invite once more sense of arriving, of landing, of meeting this body, this heart, this mind right now. And just like this, there is a pause. There is a moment to meet what's alive in each of us. How's the body right now? Is there places that I can relax, open, maybe a bit more? How's the heart right now? Noticing what's alive in this being. There might be joy in being together. There might be tiredness or anxiety or sadness. That's okay too. Just this simple invitation to allow what's there to be felt with kindness, with curiosity, with presence. Like this right now, meeting this breath, meeting sounds, the sound of my voice coming and going. Just the simplicity of this moment right now. This receptive, open attention, this caring attention. As we meet this being right now, sitting, standing, or lying down, or any other posture that we may be in, can just take a moment to again connect with the sense of community. Knowing from this inner experience that we're sitting together, we're taking this pause together. This shared intention for wisdom or kindness. And just keeping our attention very close, aware of our experience. Again, knowing the body, allowing, accepting, discovering the quality of our inner experience. How's the mind? Now invite just a bit more silence for the last few minutes of our practice together so that we can see for ourselves the beauty, the power of sitting together in silence, being surrounded by this field of good intention, this field of generosity that's quite alive today for a lot of us. Simple curiosity of meeting change, meeting this breath, this sound, this being. Once more, just inviting this connection with the earth, connecting with the feet, touching the earth. Just the sense of noticing the law of gravity right now in our bodies. Noticing the care that's offered from the earth, the support. Just before we end the sitting together, just taking a moment just to reflect what has been bringing joy lately in my life? Or even maybe this morning, the last few hours. It might be touching into the generosity of others, the generosity of a neighbor, of a friend, or rejoicing in our own generosity, the goodness of our hearts. And allow that to be felt fully in your body. It might just be, oh, the joy of taking this time today to sit, stop to notice what's alive in you. And if you wish, we can take a moment just to plant that seed of an intention, maybe for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, for the year to come. May I notice generosity around me. May I invite joy in sharing with others, or any other intentions that are alive. And once more, just letting go of all those words, coming back to just meeting this body, meeting the posture, meeting the coolness or the warmth of the room that you're in. The space around you. And the stillness in you right now. And our practice together be for the benefit of all beings everywhere. May all beings know peace. May all beings live with joy. Thank you, everyone, for your practice. It's always great to sit together, even if we're each of us, in our home. I found over the years sitting together quite powerful, even if we're all in our little screen somewhere around the world. There's something really moving in our hearts that connect with the power of community. And today I wanted to take just about a few minutes to talk about, the power of generosity, the power of joy, and the power of friendship. As we've been mentioning, That generosity is it's really the stepping stone, the starting point of our spiritual path. Just this simple act of sharing, of opening our hearts. This quality of generosity opens. It frees us from attachment, from this quality of greed. It invites a sense of connection, of again being together. And the Buddha really focused on generosity being the foundation of the Buddhist path. From this generous heart, it leads to a sense of morality. So from dana comes sila, and from sila comes bhavana, this invitation to practice, just like we did. But at the start, it's really important. At the start, it is this heart that's generous. It's recognizing, again, our interconnectedness. And the act of giving, there's the simple action of honoring relationship, friendship, our togetherness. And often, generosity, not the thing that we talk about that much. I feel in our society, in our culture, this should be the first quality in the forefront. But often there's a sense of lack, there's a sense of wanting more for me. And this practice that we're on as Buddhist practitioner, it is this radical act to actually see, is there another way to meet this world, to be part of this world? And as I mentioned, generosity, it is the core of our practice. If we look 2,600 years ago, this wheel of the Dhamma has been turning because of generosity. People like us practicing, honoring the practice, giving from a generous heart to keep this practice going, to have monasteries all over Asia that gave generously their support for a lot of us, Westerners going and practicing and having the generosity of their culture fully filling our hearts very dearly. And from that, I hope that this culture of generosity continues on, that we continue to honor this practice as a practice that comes from this sense of generosity. And generosity has a lot of meaning, can be, so wide. Often when we talk about generosity, there's a generosity of resource, but we can think also the generosity of our talent, generosity of our energy that we share, generosity of our love, the heart that connects, and generosity of our time that we offer to one another. That's what's keeping the wheel of Dhamma turning again and again. Cultivating this wholesome quality is quite powerful. The Buddha really emphasized the importance of generosity when he said, if you knew what I know about the power of giving, you would not let a single meal pass without sharing it in some way. And every time I remember that sharing, it really touches my heart. And it invites me to see, how can I share with someone today? It might be sharing of my time with a friend. It might be taking care of this own heart with my practice that I know is quite a radical act. And we can get really inspired when I think of generosity. I also think of the power of nature. Nature can be quite a beautiful source of inspiration. Nature shows us that we belong to each other, that we need to support each other. If we're not there giving each other's hand, helping each other, it doesn't work. There's a sense of disconnection, of collapse even. There's a researcher that I'm sure some of you have heard, Susan Seymour, I think you say in English, that's been analyzing just the depth of forest and how from the underground conduits of trees, they support one another. They give each other carbon, water, nutriments. They even send each other alarm or signals when there's danger around them. And they flow from the oldest tree to the biggest tree to the youngest and the smallest trees. And when I think of that, just the underground community cooperation that's there in nature, it really touches my heart deeply. And it inspires me to see, okay, how am I attending to my fellow human beings? And this is the quality of generosity that is at the center. It's recognizing again that we belong to one another, that we need to be there to support one another. And that invites this quality of mudita. So mudita is really this quality, this state of mind that truly feels happy when others are happy. A bit like the webs of the trees, we can actually connect with the web of the joy that is there around us. Mudita, quite a powerful quality that was shared by the Buddha. It's one of the 4 Brahma Viharas, and I must say it's my favorite one, because I feel in our world, again, the sense of lack, of not enough, is so powerful, so strong, that when we turn our heart to actually rejoice in the goodness and the happiness of another being, there's so much joy available. There's so much joy available. And it's not easy to open to that quality. Archbishop Desmond Tutu is a being of joy. He says, we are fragile creatures. And it is from this weakness, not despite it, that we discover the possibility of true joy. And again, it's kind of seeing, of inviting, can I, from this vulnerable place in my heart, can I open to the full aspect of our beings? So often, we have the tendency of turning our mind towards the difficult. Again, here what the Archbishop is pointing to, it's not that we push away the difficult, but from that, can we actually also honor the joy that is alive in each of us? Can we celebrate the joy that is part of being a human being? And yeah, it asks of us to look at our life and to invite maybe a sense of contentment even more. And to recognize, this is our human birthright to be happy. We all deserve to be happy. And from our practice, the goodness of our practice, this radical act of stopping, of noticing, of being alive with the fullness of our being, we bring that to the world. When we're not pushed and pulled by our conditioning, but more with our presence, then there's more joy in the world and more joy to rejoice. I have a quick example in my life. I've been sharing recently. I went to Ireland with my godchild, I had put money together since she was born, and she decided where she wanted to go for a trip at 16 years old, and we went to Ireland. And I was talking to my sister recently, and she said, "Did Anouk tell you what's her favorite movie of your trip together?" I said, "No." It's actually a movie of you driving the car and laughing. And it always brings a lot of joy to my heart because first I said we could have done that in Montreal, but it just shows me very, very vividly that the joy, wherever we are in the world, is from connection. It's from being together, of rejoicing with one another. So mudita is available around us in watching a funny movie of your aunt driving. It's in maybe smiling at the person that opens your door when you go to the grocery store. It's all those little moments of joy that you can tap in. So mudita is this sense of connection, connecting with one another. Mudita is also generous. It's this heart, again, that wants to be part of the life of other beings, that wants to celebrate other beings. My good friend and IMS teacher, Vance Pryor, was sharing recently a story of visiting a teacher who was apparently an arahant in Burma, and bowing to the people in Burma that needs our support very dearly right now. And he was sharing that arahant was just so joyful in giving to other people when they would visit him. There's a venerable Nyana Ponika who says, sympathetic joy, mudita, is the divine smile on the face of the awakened one. The divine smile on the face of the awakened one. When I think of an awakened being, there's always joy that comes to mind. So the joy, the happiness for someone else's happiness is at the center of a generous heart. And then comes spiritual friendship, kalyana mitta, the sense of community that is quite important. And again, here the Buddha, really stated very, very clearly when he was sharing with Ananda, sharing, I think I got it. Spiritual friendship is half of the holy life. And the Buddha said, no, not so, Ananda, not so, Ananda. It's the entire holy life. The holy life is good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship. So again, it states the importance of being together, of sharing together. And spiritual friendship can have different flavors for each of us. Just right now, we're all sitting in our home and we're spiritual friends, even if we don't know each other's name or stories. There can be a felt sense of being together, of connecting with one another. Friendship is essential on this path. And there's different qualities that we cultivate as a good friend. There's a sutta that I deeply appreciate called the Mitta Sutta. And there's 7 qualities that are shared about being a good friend. And it says a good friend does what's hard to do. It might be to be generous. Says what's hard to say. We want to know the truth. And the good friend endures what's hard to endure. They keep your secrets. They don't abandon you when you're in a hardship or when you're struggling. And they don't judge you for it. In the suttas, it says, when you're down and out, they don't look down on you. I found that quite moving. To have friends, to have people that can support us. And again, that could look very different for each of us. It could be that one spiritual friend that we know that we can actually connect together and practice together as we're doing right now. And we know that they're there for us in that way. And I find this very powerful to have this sense again of recognizing the power of the Sangha, of community. And that's what really moves my heart when I think of IMS, being this home where we can actually just show up and be in community, in relationship with one another. That we'll meet, people that deeply care in the well-being of humankind. That cultivates the sense of generosity, of joy, of meeting, all the different aspects of being a human being. So dana, mudita, kalyana, mitta, all those, this quality of generous hearts, again, of joy, of happiness from one another, and in relationship, in connection. For me, they're all the same thing. When you're generous, there's a joy for the joy in another being. There's the connection with that goodness of all beings also. Really this deep sense of belonging that can come out of this. That willingness to actually see how can we make this world a better place by being there for one another, by opening our hearts, and by celebrating the goodness of one another. So this is a bit what I wanted to share and be in community with you today. Is really to honor the beauty of the generosity of our connection. So I want us just maybe to end together and take a moment to just come back to the body. And once more, I'll invite the wisdom of Richard Wagamans. We approach our lives on different trajectories, each of us spinning in our own separate shining orbits. What gives this life its resonance is when those trajectories cross and we become engaged with each other. There's a shared energy then, and it can feel as though the whole universe is in the process of coming together. I live for those times. No one is truly ever just passing through. Every encounter as within the power of enchantment, if we're willing to look for it. Just right now, I can take a moment just to maybe remember or reflect on the power of meeting one another. When we become engaged with each other, the sense of generosity, and I want to take a moment just to honor the time that we've been spending together that went by so fast. May the good merits of our practice of cultivating those wholesome qualities be for the benefit of all beings in all directions. May we know the fearlessness of an open heart. May we meet each other with this sense of community, that no matter what, you are not alone. May all beings be at peace. Big bows to everyone for your time, your practice, being here together in community. And I hope maybe some words kind of just open the heart to a sense of connection with one another. And if you wish, I am not seeing you right now, but you can write in the chat maybe, what brings joy to you? I know Sherwood had sent a message to all the folks at IMS, a survey, just sharing again that beauty of the joy that's alive in your life. And sometimes when we share our joy, someone else can connect with that joy also and cultivate this quality of mudita. Okay, it's been a great pleasure spending this time with you, and look forward to meeting you all on this path. I'm sure we will meet again, may it be via this screen or in person. May you be well, and may you continue sharing your generous heart to one another. Thank you. Merci tout le monde.